What is there any looking back onto where you're at now, right? I think you're at a pretty amazing spot between art and science. Is there anything that you wish you had either done differently or known sooner, or something that you were like, oh, I wish I had this to tell to myself?
Um, I mean, I've definitely had lots of challenges whilst doing this post. On one being, the precarity of, although 3 years sounds a long time,
Yeah.
when it's about building relationships and getting projects off the ground, which can take months and months and months. Um, Having that kind of, like I'm already starting to look for other posts or other forms of funding and all that kind of stuff. So the precarity isn't helpful when you're trying to develop long-term projects. And although there might be a chance of an extension year for a few years until something is concrete,
Hmm.
you don't really know. And so that's been a challenge in the sense of, you know, especially when you're working with a wider community,
Hmm.
if you want to develop those relationships and make things, add some legacy and a permanent fixture, it takes time. And when you don't have a permanent contract, like I said, art residencies, they're usually about 2 3 months, so they're even shorter. But I suppose their roles are slightly different
Hmm.
um, in the sense that you create a piece of art and that's it. For me, well, I could have done that for 3 years, but I've actually, this idea of the community and working, creating projects with different people rather than me just creating pieces all the time is something that motivates me as well.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one thing. And that's one of the things I've had to navigate and has been that kind of relationship with when you go into a science institute who aren't necessarily have the infrastructure to work within the art world because you need to bridge both and the public. Um, I've had to do a lot of things which I assumed before I moved here um, they would already be in place. Even writing press releases and stuff like this, which takes a lot of time. Or like from the first Ocean Science Jam event, this jam night I do, um, having to make posters myself and putting them up, cycling around the city, putting them up. Now we hire people, this kind of stuff. But like those, so like maybe advice to other people if you are going in for a period of like a year or something, and they say, yeah, we've got funding. Try to find out what that funding covers. Like okay, if we create an event, are they the ones who are going to promote the event? Are they the ones who are going to design posters? And it's every obstacle has been worked through.
Hmm.
It's just because they're a science institute, their first idea of working with the public is that okay, let's tell them, like I don't know, doing lectures or something like that. Not necessarily okay. We need to do this event and target non-sciencey people.
Yeah.
Um, so that I suppose has been a challenge, and for people who do go into art science collaborations to think about is like okay, what resources do they offer, and have you got all that covered so that the project can be the best it can be? Um, um, that's a more institutional thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, just have the like a lot of projects I've tried have actually not come off as well, and they've failed, or half ideas which started to develop and then didn't amount to anything. But you learn from everything, so
Yeah.
um, I guess try not to be too frustrated and learn from those experiences. Um,
Do you see
but
yourself?
everyone works differently.
Yeah. Do you have a particular idea of where you see yourself in the future, in the next near future? I don't know, 3, 5 years.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoy what I'm doing. Like, the perfect position would be what I'm doing now, really, is
Hmm.
a curating and creating projects which I can contribute artistically to, and then writing about them as well and measuring how the public actually engage with these things. Um, and then whether that requires me trying to find a big block of funding somewhere. I suppose one thing is it's usually universities who have the funding or some stuff related to universities or approaching big art galleries. I actually sent an email to a place in Berlin today, just like saying, oh, hey, they're like an art science node. And I was just like, oh, hey, this is all the projects I'm doing. This is stuff I've been writing. Um, if you have any jobs come up, let me know. So yeah, I suppose that precarity is very common for artists, isn't it? And it's both freedom, but it's also can be quite
Nerve wracking.
frustrating as well. I'm sure as well. Yeah, nerve wracking. And then you say, okay, in a year's time, where am I going to live? How much money am I going to have? But I would say like art science collaborations, especially to do with the ocean, because we are in the UN Ocean Decade. There are especially loads of networks, and there is funding for this, and it's definitely something that governments, institutions like universities, third sector organisations are doing a lot of. So I'd encourage as many possible to try and source those fundings, because definitely for until 2030, I think,
Yeah.
whilst that UN Ocean Decade is prevalent, it's something that people are investing in. I found a niche for 3 years, so hopefully I can find more, and hopefully loads of others can as well. But yeah, so I still want to be doing what I'm doing now. It's just finding that kind of pot of gold
Aren't we
to
all?
be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hopefully it sounds like there is a potential bright future in there. We just have to like find our way.
Yeah, I mean, and coming here itself was like a new beginning for me. Like I said, I hadn't previously worked in art science collaborations, and I never heard of the city Oldenburg. It's quite a small place. It's quite, it's very nice, but it's quite small and boring kind of city, very sleepy kind of place. But I'd never heard about it before. But it was just like, okay, I've got the option to do what I want and create all these new projects and work with scientists. So let's give it a go. So having that kind of, if you're able to, of course, not everyone can do. They've got other commitments and all this kind of stuff. I was lucky I didn't have those commitments, so I could move here quite freely. Um, so yeah, I suppose it depends with people's circumstances, but yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like going from an ocean place to a landlocked place in a totally different country and language. That was probably a very interesting move.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I don't know about you, but just moving, even if you move within a country, it's tough. You've got to start again. You've got to make new friends. You've got to even stuff like just finding a doctors that speak English and all this kind of stuff. You've got all that life stuff, but then you've also got the other stuff as well. And it's a privilege as well, but it's also it's difficult when you start, and that's nothing to do with just art or it's anything. Big transitions in your life are difficult, and it's about negotiating them as well as them doing the other stuff. But it's interesting. I was thinking now, like I'm currently ocean based,
Mhm.
but then if opportunities came up to work with other scientists and other things, would I do it? And I probably would actually. Although I really like the ocean stuff. If there was someone wanted to do something, I don't know, volcanoes or something, then maybe I'm like, oh yeah, okay, why not? So I suppose it's opened my mind up definitely to potential for other kind of projects as well. So yeah, but yeah, hopefully oceans for the time being anyway.